without the screaming, an energy so stark, a Marshall Mathers without the rhymes, like executing Beethoven music without the lines. You know something's missing, but you can't figure out why. Maybe it was done and fleeing and the music's about to die. It's like the Snoop without the dog, and a tour without the smoke, Biggie without the Smalls, Tyson without the Broke, Led without the Zeppelin, Strummer without the Clash, Paul without Lennon, like Johnny without the cash, like Mick without Keith, and the band without the boss, just like Angus without the Young, and Wings without the sauce, Guns without the Roses, Axl without Slash, a guitar without Jimmy, a finale without Mash. Mash, 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 mash. When life seems down and everything tattered, take a trip with us back to when the music mattered. When life seems down and everything tattered, take a trip with us back to when the music mattered. Music mattered, music mattered, music mattered, music mattered, music mattered, music mattered, music mattered.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. This is when the music matters. And yes, you guessed it. Kris bailed on me again. I was just telling our guest today that I can't even remember what he's doing today. There's always something. He's going on about some ish about it's summertime. We shouldn't be doing this in the summertime. And I'm like, bruh, shut up. Just show up. I literally do everything else for this friggin' podcast. All I ask is that you show up occasionally. I love him though. Love him like a brother. Fought for this country, motherfucker. You got to put some respect on that man's name. All right, well, I really got no diatribe, no nothing tonight. Anybody who listened to last week's episode with Miss Jamie Irish, thank you to y'all. Got us back. Missed the top 50 on Apple Podcasts last week by one. And maybe we need to start putting out more episodes than one a week, because we go like close to top 50 and then we're like 170 like 3 days later. So I don't know. We get that surge of people and then that drop off. Goddamn Rolling Stone screwing me over week after week. Little publication for young fellas like my guest tonight. That was a magazine that was made of paper, and we would go to shelves and take it off and we'd read it. Anyways, anybody who checked out that episode, it was fun. And we moved away from our traditional interview style last week and kind of just free floated a little bit more as I went into like a diabetic coma on everybody. Or what we think was, I don't know if I have diabetes. I'm just making assumptions now. Dr. Google told me it could be, so why would I see a real MD? Anyways, 3 minutes, 45 seconds. It's literally like 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK right now. I actually think it's like 11 p.m. Yeah, but maybe midnight. So we should get him on. His name is Michael. After a good 5 or 6 weeks of communicating with him, I finally asked his name today to find out who was going to be on the show. They're a little band called Homecoming UK. Little pop punk band. If y'all remember, back a few weeks ago, we had a little UK pop punk band on, and it's been one of our most banging episodes from a view and downloading and streaming. They're called Chasing the Fall. And anybody who saw my TikTok this week said the best part of my job is that I get to do cool shit and talk to cool people, and I get to hear music before you do. Their song Jeff comes out in 2 days. Go check that out. It's a banger song. Part of me wanted to just blow it for them tonight and play it for all like 12 of you that will watch this YouTube video before the podcast comes out. Anyways, I talked long enough. Let's bring in Michael. Let's talk about another UK band, pop punk band. We've had the whole point of my diatribe there was that we've had a good experience with the Brits, and let's see how this goes. Michael, how are you?
Tired.
What time is it there? Midnight? 11?
It's 5 past midnight.
5 past midnight. You look like a young fella though, so you should be okay. Like your show's just getting started at this time.
Dude, I'm 38. I'm very old.
Are you really 38?
Yeah, man.
Look at us two young fellas sitting here just
Exactly. Just chilling on
Yeah.
a Monday night.
I'll be 38 until next Monday. No, 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks of being 38 left. And then I'm 30. My wife turned 40 this year.
Well, my theory on ages is that when you start a new decade, you're young again.
I was never old, so I don't know what anybody's talking about.
Well, no, I don't like to be old. I refuse to accept it. I'm still young.
Yeah, fuck it. Look, I still rock a mohawk. Like, I don't give a shit. I've got a very successful job. I get paid a lot of money to do, and I get to, wear tats. And by the way, I love your sleeves. For anybody who's on the audio podcast, that means nothing, but just a good set of sleeves on and tattoos. If for the idiots who don't know what I'm talking about, just a really good set.
This arm's the better arm. This one's the one we just ignore. That's one we did when I was 18 and drunk in my bedroom.
That's what my bulldog up here is. And
the junk ones.
Yeah, and my maple leaf, those just stay underneath the shirt.
Sadly, I can't hide them. I've got an army of ginger stick men. I don't even.
Yeah,
we were watching The Lion King, and I was just like, "Yeah, do you know what? Right, fucking do that, man." And he did.
Because you're watching The Lion King, that was the whole inspiration. I love it.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know what? Like, talk about like serendipitous. I am using a Lion King cup tonight, so we're just killing it here.
I'm using my Star Wars cups to bring my phone up.
All right. We're 7 minutes in. You're old and tired. Let's get this going. Look, I can't remember. I think you just followed me on Instagram one day, so I started following you back, and that's when I started realizing, oh, this is a band, and listening to you guys play. And I was gonna say, you're one of those bands bringing back the old sound, but you just are the old sound. That's what I love. But talk to me a little bit about Homecoming. Is it Homecoming UK or is it just Homecoming? You just dropped the UK on there?
It's Homecoming UK. There was like a million other Homecomings rudely who chose the name before us. But they didn't have as big a like social stuff or any music out, so we were like quickly jumping there, get some music out, so it's our name. And it was originally done because we've gone through loads of lineup changes. We started in 2017.
Okay.
And we'd all come from different bands, the old drummer, the old singer, and all these things. And we had no idea to call the band, but there was a Spider-Man Homecoming poster up. And that was it. It was just like, oh, wicked cool. That will be the band name. It stuck.
That's awesome.
It's cool. Because whenever we watch anything on TV, like on The Last of Us or whatever, where it says Homecoming, I'll be like, oh, look, The Last of Us is mentioning my band. I'm love that you say that too. Like all those people rudely pick a name before you, because I totally get that. I tell my wife all the time, I absolutely despise people who live a completely separate life from me, and just have their own priorities in life. It really irritates me that they exist. They are.
But tell me a little bit about your band. I never try to pump up my guests before they come on. I always do the pump up after. But you've got some tracks. You kids can flow. You youngins can hit it up. Tell me a little bit about how you said there's been a lot of lineup changes, obviously. Like, tell me how the whole band came together and your current existence, how you got to where you are today.
So we originally had it started years ago. The old singer, he wanted to do a band that was just going to do pop punk covers of like musicals and Disney, essentially what Punk Rock Factory are doing now. But they managed to do it way more successfully because they did more than 2 songs. We did 2. And then he went to go sing in like Ibiza and all that stuff, singing Britney Spears. He still does solo stuff now. He's rad. So then I decided reluctantly, I became the front man. It just suited my ego more, really, to be front and center. And the bassist we had at the time as well, he told us after about 3 or 4 practices, he's like, yeah, I don't really like pop punk. We're like, okay, cool, that might be a bit of an issue being a pop punk band. So we put an advert out, and then I'd played with Chelsea, our current bassist, years ago in our old bands. So messaged her, said, "Do you want to play bass?" She said, "Yeah." She came in, learned it all. And then our drummer quit after our first gig. So I put another feeler out, and then we found Matty. He's also the Chase and the Fall drummer now too. We share him. He's on our weekend basis kind of thing. Like we have split custody on Matty. And then we had another guitarist. Got a bit tense about 3 years ago, so we exited him and got Paul, who, to be fair, I wanted Paul in the first place, but he was also selfish and wanted to follow his teaching career and had just become a dad. So selfishly, he had other aspirations at the time than doing my music career. But we finally got him. And so about 3 years ago, we got the proper lineup. So we started really like pushing the band and recording. And it's kind of just nicely taken off a bit from there.
I hope that your British dry humor plays out
Translates
across my North American audience, but I love it. I'm a big fan of British comedians, so I love that dry, the Jimmy Carrs and the Gervais and all the guys, and then I like the Graham Nortons, who aren't dry at all, right? They're just that. I don't know.
Graham Norton's my favorite talk show host.
Yeah, so we don't actually get the show here. I just watch him on YouTube and watch clips. Does anybody even watch television anymore? Like that's my wife and I were just talking about that the other night.
No, we cancelled our TV subscription a few years ago. We're like, what's the point? We don't ever stream anything or obtain it by other means.
Yeah, that by other legal means. Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's the way we are too. Yeah, we don't have, we call it cable here. I don't know if that's what you guys call it there or what you call it.
Using cable, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of other things that don't exist anymore, and that's really, and actually I'm curious because maybe I'm coming at it from a Canadian standpoint. I don't even know if it's like this in the US. But traditional radio is just dead in Canada. Like it is absolutely dead. We don't have, and I'm saying this out loud now, knowing that I've watched some YouTube stuff, and I know you guys actually have some like DJ personalities and stuff who are presenters, as you call them, right?
Yeah.
That are on the radio. Here in Canada, radio is dead. Every good radio host is gone and they no longer work on radio. Most of them are doing their own podcast or running their own media system now. And that's been a challenge for Canadian bands because here in Canada, we have the CanCon rule, which means you have to 30% or 40% of the music that you play on radio has to be Canadian music. Okay. So it used to be a really good avenue for the indie bands to get on the radio because radio stations were always just, starving for content. And it's still happening, just nobody listens to radio here anymore. So it's become a tougher grind. Do you have that same issue in the UK, or is radio still a thing for bands out there that you're striving for?
It's definitely still a thing because we've got Kerrang Radio, BBC Introducing. BBC Introducing don't like us; they've never played us, so screw them. Yeah, exactly. We just keep getting the email off them. Someone's listening to your song, and then it just never goes anywhere. So there is still a decent amount of radio ones. There's a local one to us called Black Country Radio. I think it's just called Black Country Radio. He plays us quite a few times, and he does a top 20 every year or so. And so there is quite a decent bit of help still for unsigned bands to get radio play. I mean, we have it on at work, the local radio station. It's rubbish. It's absolute trash. And you have to hear people just moan. Which is what I do, actually. I'm British. That's what we do, don't we? So, yeah, it works pretty well.
So, okay.
That was a tangent, wasn't it? I do that a lot.
It wasn't even a tangent. When you have a full point to make, and then as soon as you go to speak it, it leaves your head. This is what I want to get at now. So going back to the Canadian equivalent, getting on the radio now, obviously, I mean, anything is a milestone of some sort, but it's not the same milestone. Are you still celebrating radio victories? Like, because when we had Chasing the Fall on, they had been picked as like Song of the Week by the Bowling for Soup guy. And it was really like, and he was...
and BSP.
Yeah, and Kerrang radios. That's what he kept talking about, Kerrang radio, as if I fucking knew what he was talking about.
So they're like Rolling Stone. So yes. we have Kerrang magazine, which is it was a lot bigger, maybe 20 or so years ago. We had Kerrang TV, which just played music videos constantly, pretty much of that stuff. And now we've still got Kerrang Radio, which still exists as that avenue. And I know that they can do competitions for bands to get signed or to play at Download Festival. There's a band that just won recently, and I feel so bad now because I've totally forgotten their name, because I need to remember it right now, and obviously that would be when I forget the name. But they just won a competition through Kerrang Radio, and they got signed by Marshall Records.
Okay.
So Kerrang Radio is a pretty big thing. And BSB, that's Blood, Sweat and Beers. So that's run by Danny and Ben, and they do a whole like podcast, Twitch live thing that they stream, and independent bands will put their music into it. And they're kind of filling a gap that Kerrang TV and P-Rock and all these ones that used to exist had. They're filling that out. And they are a massive help to a lot of the bands globally, in fact, to be fair, because they have bands from the US. They had a band from Azerbaijan a couple of months back. They won Track of the Week as well. We got Track of the Week back in February, I think. One of our songs, and it helped us loads. It got us in a massive show in Birmingham with a band that just reunited a couple of months back, and it's all down to their kind of influence and help in the industry.
So when you're talking about these radio stations or any sort of media, there is it okay? Because I live in a vast land. So sometimes speaking to people who live in these tight, condensed countries, things don't quite relate to me, right? Like my podcast partners from Alberta, we are literally a 4-hour plane ride or 3.5-hour plane ride away from each other. Like we are not. That's how big Canada is from my province to his province. If I want to go to the other side of the province, when I go to like British Columbia, it's almost a 4.5-hour plane ride to get from one side to the other. So when you're Song of the Week, is that big across the country? Is that big locally? Is that more, is it pocketed? Where does that matter, I guess, is probably the question I'm asking for.
I'd say as where BSB is at the moment, because they're an emerging, well, I say emerging, they're pretty decent, they're pretty biggish now, I think. But it's a lot more within the bands and the industry itself. It's not like a national thing that they are yet. I know that I think their goal is to have a TV channel and stuff. But within like a lot of the unsigned band scene and that, the Track of the Week thing is pretty huge, because then you go together Track of the Month. When you're in Track of the Month, you get £1,000, or I think it's $1,500 promotional campaign and package and stuff, like not video, advertising, merch and stuff. So it's kind of like an aspiration when you get a new track, is you want to try and get that Track of the Week and get Track of the Month, and it is quite a big thing within the bands, at least. They're a well-known force within a lot of the UK indie band people.
So in the UK, things I'm starting to learn by speaking to people like you. I had Chasing the Fall on. A couple other UK bands have reached out to me wanting to be on the podcast, which, by the way, I don't understand why people are seeking us out. Like we're not that, but all the power. Thank you. We appreciate it. And you guys all seem like a very tight-knit community, which is similar to what we had here back in my band days, which we're now talking 20 years ago-ish. And then very different than what you see in a lot of the US. A lot of time in the US, it's just very single. There's a lot of competitiveness, and there's, you don't have that tightness. Here, we always said we're always competing. I always wanted to be better than the bands that I was playing with, but we were also a tight-knit community. How would you describe the scene there amongst, the bands that you're sharing the stage with, doing shows with, competing for airtime with? Or is it a mutual support? Do you big each other? Is there a competition? Is it a fake smile for the camera? I mean, you're sharing a drummer with a band, so there's got to be somewhat of a relationship there. What is that sort of community like?
So we've had the opposite. I feel when I first started doing band stuff, similar time about 20 years ago, it was more competitive. I don't feel people wanted to support each other then. It was very much you had to outshine someone else. But obviously there's still that sort of competition, but it feels more friendly competition, and people are bigging each other. But I've noticed a lot more of the band since I've been doing Homecoming, at least, and with social media being the main communication for bands in every way. There's just so many more bands sharing each other's new releases. The networking we built up through social media and the band scene now, it's just such a different vibe than it was even 10 years ago. Like 10 years ago, my other old band, that was when pay to play was a huge thing in the UK. That seems to have died out now as well. God, that sucked. And the bands are just more like, we all go to each other's shows a lot. Like I'll go to a lot of my friends' band shows. They come to watch us, and it's just helped this really decent community, especially West Midlands bands, which is where we're located, like Staffordshire, Birmingham kind of way. Obviously, in comparison to Canada, our stuff's tiny, because we've got a friend, Stephen, who comes over and he finds it hilarious that we won't even drive an hour to a gig. We're like, an hour? You only get off it, mate. And he's like, I drive an hour to like the shops, and we're like, yeah, you got to comparatively do these things. Like, we're a fraction of the size of you, so an hour is a long time.
Just so you know, the average commute to work in the morning for the average Canadian, at least in where I am in the Toronto area, the average commute time is 47 minutes.
Oh, it takes me 18 minutes.
Yeah, so the average commute time is 47 minutes. My sister goes an hour and a half each way every day.
Ugh.
So, yeah, we're very used to driving here.
Now for gigs and stuff, I like to make an exception. I think it's worth it, and I prefer to go to, independent band gigs anyway. That's where the support's needed, isn't it? And it's just generally we've swapped with what you guys said you had, where we've now got that really big supportive scene, and it is just nice to be part of. You can count on there generally always being a crowd, because you know that you've been to see another band, and it's not like a reciprocated thing where it's like an obligation. Well, I saw you, so you've got to come and watch my band. It's just worked in such a decent, positive way. Everyone does just want to kind of be there and watch each other's band, and we all share each other's songs, we all share each other's videos. Like us and Chasing the Fall, when we do gigs, I'll go up and play guitar on a couple of their songs. Their guitarist plays a song with us, their bassist sings with us. Andy, I've now told him he has to, from now on going forward, he sings a song with us if we're ever playing together again. And obviously our drummers drum with each other because it's the same person.
So, given your age, you and I probably started in bands at the same time. We're only sound like we're at least a year or whatever apart. Very close.
1987.
Yeah, I was 86, so we're close, right?
Yeah, close.
So we would have started right around the same time.
Yeah.
And I have seen, and again, and I'm interested in what it looks like in the UK. Like, I have seen the transformation of local music, especially for the indie bands and the local bands and the unsigned bands. Back in 2002, 2003 time, I mean, it was huge. I was a part of it. We called them circuits, and it was me and 5 other bands. We were the opening band because we were the worst. And 3 of the bands ended up getting signed, and us and the other 3 too were just, we were the bad ones. The first 3 bands didn't get signed. The top 3 bill instead. But we would do the circuit, and we would go, and every week we knew we were a minimum 75, 100 people, which back you're dying for a crowd like that.
Yeah.
And then I dropped out of music and got a real job. I had a kid when I was 19 and realized I had to pay bills, and actually sold the stories. I sold all my guitars when my daughter was born, because I had to buy diapers. So for I think of my 25th birthday, my wife bought me my Art and Lutherie to start building up guitars again.
Yeah.
But then I found live music dead. I was always looking for live music. I couldn't find live music anywhere here. The underground shows were extremely underground. We couldn't see it. And then the pandemic hit. And suddenly I found, when the pandemic hit and we all went into lockdowns and everything shut down, suddenly people remembered live music existed again. And since we come out of that, I have seen a huge surge of live music here, especially in the GTA. I mean, from my wife and I, man, Wednesdays it's we're in Aurora at Music in the Park. Thursdays we're in Newmarkets, music series. Every Wednesday, every Thursday, the towns are putting them on. The shows are going, bar bands are going. We've got sign name people playing Rib Fest here in Aurora next week. And we're still seeing this all of a sudden, this starving for people. Ticket prices for the big name bands are going ludicrous here, that like a lot of people can't afford to even go to a concert. Fuck the Goo Goo Dolls, by the way. I've been on a 3-month tangent about them, but I went to train on fucking Friday instead, and they were fucking amazing, guys. Anyway, it's they're charging $300 here for fucking Goo Goo Doll tickets. Like, who's gonna pay that for a shitty 90s band that I just wanted to listen to 3 songs and be nostalgic about? I want to know from you. So come back. Let's go back to 2002. Let's go back to 16 and 17-year-old us, but in the UK. Tell me how the shows have transitioned, and was there that lull in live music, and have you seen the resurgence there?
I'd say similar, but I think that was down to, like I said, there was a lot of gigs when I started, but then they just kept being the same places though, and it's the same bands playing the same venues week in on week. Like, we must have played this one pub every Saturday till the end. You just got no one going, and then as that band sort of fizzled out, more pay-to-play promoters came in, and I feel that had a massive negative impact on a lot of bands because, well, none of us had money to buy the tickets ourselves, and then we were to sell them. The promoter's like, well, you keep the money from the tickets. I'm like, I ain't got the money to buy, you're the promoter. So I felt it did kind of, sizzle out a bit. And I know lots of friends who were in bands at that point. My old band fell apart because of that. And my first band, the drummer left because of a similar thing. He's like, I'm sick of, the huge pressure that we've got on us now instead. And I feel that drove a bit of a lull. And like you said, in COVID, I feel people kind of had that, you miss a thing that you can't do kind of thing. And you couldn't go to live gigs, and the amount of people I've seen on TikTok as well that suddenly started doing music again. And our guitarist, Paul, he started over here. I mean, I know there's some all over the place, but he did the COVID cover crew that we made on Facebook, and we just added random people in it. Random, we knew them. And you just give someone a song and say, you've got to learn this, play it tomorrow, upload a video. And then loads of people there going, I play guitar or bass in this song. And then they're uploading their videos. Everyone got back into loving it again. And then as we've come out, I feel there is so many more gigs, but even the local gigs here, they are still quite pricey, I feel, for what you get. I say what you get. I mean, you sometimes you get 10 bands for like £2.50 a band, essentially. And I think that's an absolute steal. But people just don't want to pay it. Mainly because I think people still don't have the spare cash to do it. And you're there, like, people come to gigs, don't get me wrong. But we're losing loads of our venues, though, because of people's thoughts on like ticket prices and that. And then obviously venues can't stay open, promoters won't book bands. So we had this kind of big climb, and then it's starting to like level out again, I feel. There are set venues and promoters that you kind of go, we'll always go with them because they'll, it sells well. Did I go off on a tangent? I felt I did.
No, keep going. Because I've said like fuck Live Nation running through my head the whole time you've been talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck Live Nation. But yeah, I think a lot of the places here are some really big venues they've brought in now that, if I'm remembering right, if somebody is watching this, and they probably know a lot more than me on it, that like big venues like I think they're called the Utilia now. These are called the like Manchester Evening News. Anyway, huge big stadium venues in like towns and arenas. They're meant to give a percentage of their ticket sales to the grassroots venues in the area or something to try and help boost it back up. Because there was one that closed recently in Sheffield, I'm sure it was. It's where the Arctic Monkeys did some of their own, starting gigs, and that's closed down. And it is just, due to running costs of gigs. And that's what I mean. I think it has leveled, and there are set ones that you can still rely on. I had a point. I just talked. That was my point.
Beautiful. So there's so one thing that the UK and Canada, have in common, which makes sense because you guys, are technically our daddies in a sense, but so there would be a similar way of thinking. But something that we have in common is we take a lot of pride in the bands that come from where we are. You'll see a lot of Canadians be proud of Canadian bands, but if that band is like from your area, like for us, it was Finger 11, and like it's just like, you know, they're like they're the cream of the crop when it comes to us, and I will find a way to let everybody know that I had seen Finger 11 when they were Rainbow Butt Monkeys, and you know, we're very proud of the things. And then, you know, the UK is very, you know, the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, Zeppelin, and Ozzy, and you know, these guys. Pardon me, sorry.
I was going to say Ozzy's funeral was last week, wasn't it? And Birmingham was absolutely rammed. So yeah, it's the exact same kind of thing. I think, especially if you're from that area where that artist's from, people. I mean, if you go to Liverpool, there is Beatles memorabilia everywhere. The airport in Liverpool's got a yellow submarine around it. I think it's called the John Lennon Airport as well. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to get to, and I digress a lot because I know a lot of my audience, I need to explain. A lot of my audience is American, so I need to explain intricacies of Canada to them sometimes, because in the US you don't have that same sort of local pride that Canada and the UK have for their bands. Is there another layer of pride for the unsigned bands in the towns? You know, like, are people walking around Birmingham? I'm just saying a random name, like I know, but are they walking around, you know, yes, there's Ozzy, but they also love this group who actually on the world stage, nobody knows who the fuck they are.
I don't know. I mean, I know that, like, from personal experience, we've met people around who have recognized us, kind of thing. Not like huge, like, oh my God, but you know, like, they'll see you at a gig and they recognize you from watching you at another local gig. So there's that kind of one, but I don't know. Maybe it hasn't happened to us, but because, well, we're spread all over the West Midlands anyway. So it's hard to pinpoint, but I don't know. I know within bands and that we've got the, you know, the pride with each other's band kind of thing. Like when a friend's band gets signed to a local band, it's, you know, but I don't know about the townspeople. I mean, I don't know if I could go to someone in Stafford and be like, hey, you ever heard of Homecoming? Because I'm the guy. In fact, I tried to sell one of my guitars saying used by the frontman of Homecoming UK. Didn't work. I ended up trading it in at Cash Converters. So I don't know if it is for local bands. If it is, it's definitely not for us. Or yet. Maybe it isn't. People haven't told me.
Let's say
yes.
Nice. Let's say yes.
Let's say yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask what could be a bit of a difficult question for you to answer, and maybe you're going to think I'm an asshole by asking it, but I think I have to ask it. You're 38 years old, 1987.
Yes.
Typically by this time, if you're going to get signed, you're going to be signed already. How are you now when you're moving forward and you're doing the heavy promotion? And I follow your guys' social media. You're doing the heavy promotion. You're dealing with dicks like me on Instagram, asking you to do podcasts. You're staying up till midnight, you know, which, you know, to help promote the band. Does there ever come a time where you're like, you know, I just gotta stop, or are you just in love with music?
So when we started this band, what year are we now? 8 years ago. So I was 30, and I'd already set that point. I'm like, I'm 30. I know I'm not going to make it anywhere big. Me personally, and I think the other guys at least, I know I've spoke to them. We just like playing. I've got no intentions of being mega famous and signed. If anyone does ever notice us, hello labels. If anyone ever notices us and wants to, you know, it'd be awesome. But I'm honestly just here to play. That we're very picky on the gigs we do. We only do 2 a month. And I said when I did this band, I was like, look, I've done all the ones you do as a starting band. If we're doing this, we're doing it relatively properly. We're going to play at venues. We're going to promote the hell out of it. And what happens. We write music that we like. We record music we choose. You know, it is corny in it when I'm like, I do it for the love of music, but I just like playing. I like being on stage. I like playing music. And being in this band has reignited that music flame. Because there was a point over the last 10 years, I hadn't picked up my guitars barely ever. I've now got a guitar behind me at work in the office. And then I've got a collection behind me there with more. And I feel that I go to them a lot more now and just play. I've been writing a lot more just because I like playing the music and writing it. And, you know, if no one listens to it, no one listens to it. I'm doing it. I'm happy. The guys also the same. We know we're not going to be signed. We know we're not going to be mega famous. We know we're not going to be Blink-182. But I'm not in it for that now. I think young me was, but I feel that if you get too het up on that, it takes it away from being a fun hobby, doesn't it? And then you start to become resentful that you haven't done something. And then I think that's where the music scene was, at least what I saw of it way back when I was younger, was you'd get resentful that you weren't getting somewhere and your friends were. And I feel once you get over that need for fame, it's just a far more nicer area to be in.
So to relate, I come from the podcasting and media world, and we started this. I think this is episode number 13. So like we're very new into When the Music Mattered. I come from the sports world where 3 years ago I had the number 2 football, like an American football podcast in North America. I was signed to Crier Media. I had an exclusive deal with Sportscaster. I had a Spotify deal. I had a Spotify featured podcast. I was making money this close to quitting my job and making podcasting my full-time gig. Like that's how much money I had rolling in. I made some bad career decisions in that perspective and kind of tanked things and thought, okay, I need to take a break and reset. I still do the sports stuff and I'm getting back into it. And we have our debut episode of my brand new podcast coming out in September. And I already have 2 sponsors. I'm on episode 13 of this and I can't get a sponsor to look at me. Right. But I have told my wife this, I would do this for free and not have one person listen, just to be able to fucking talk music and talk to guys like you and chat with Kris and have fucking fun than make another dime again doing, I'll do sports to make the money. Like that's where I'll bring in the extra money. It's my passion project. But I'm going to say to you, Michael, the same thing that I wrote to Chasing the Fall and I said it on my fucking TikTok, how Homecoming UK don't have a deal blows my fucking mind, because I talk to people that have deals here. I have slews of interviews coming up with people who have deals, and they're not fucking half the bands that you guys are. BJ's in Your PJs, by the way, is one of the greatest fucking songs in the world. And my wife is not a music person. But by not being a music person, she's critical as shit when you play music for her. And I always play my upcoming interviews to her, and she fucking thinks you guys are great. So I hope that a label finds you. I hope they find you. And if anything, I want this podcast to grow just so I can be a fucking outlet for bands like you to be discovered. So that's just my little thing. You guys are amazing. Keep your head up and keep going. How do you write a song like BJ's in Your PJs?
Well, so lyrically, it's not related to the song title.
No,
but the song title was I accidentally sent a meme to Chelsea instead of to my wife. And then I quickly deleted it, and we thought, this is hilarious. I was like, oh, let's just write a song. We'll put that as a song title. I was like, it's catchy. Maybe people will find it funny and listen. And it worked. People did find it funny and listen. I don't know. I mean, some of them, it depends on like some of the subject matter, like DKMS, FN 2187. What's that one I wrote about mental health? Shattered Echoes. I wrote about my breakdown. So those ones, they're kind of ones you can just write quick, because it's that spur of the moment, very personal thing, and you're not overthinking lyrics on it. So them ones were really quick to write. But some of the other ones, they take a bit of time. They're not. I mean, they are personal. Obviously, I wrote them. But like, how do I explain it without sounding pretentious?
No, sound pretentious.
It's just writing a story, isn't it? Like, because I have to go. Sometimes I write the lyrics and go to my wife. I'm like, just so you know, I'm not feeling this way about you, kind of thing. Because they're really negative, and a lot of them are. It's pop punk, isn't it? And they're all about breaking up and all these negative things. I'm like, just need you to know this isn't how I feel. This is just a song from someone else's perspective, and like I'll watch or read things, and then I'll be like, oh, do you know what? And then I'll get to inspiration. Like we wrote my D20 just rolls 11. which is based on Stranger Things. I thought it'd be funny. It's the first song me and Paul wrote lyrically together and split it. That was the whole. And we've got a song called George, which is completely based on an episode of Scrubs. Because every time I watch it, even now I've seen it like 14 times, I still tear up because it's absolutely heartbreaking. And so I was watching that episode years ago, and I was like, "Cool, writing this song." I'm like, "Oh my god, it's working!" And then all the lyrics are related to it. But I usually write the lyrics first, and then I panic over how the hell to make any of it fit together. Like we're currently working on a new song, which we were doing. What time is it now? 4 hours ago. And we spent the whole 2 hours just laboring over like how to get the vocal pattern to fit this part and with the Drakes. We left on a good note though.
Do you consider yourself, so I write the lyrics first too. That's always me. And I'm sure you can probably relate to this. I say it's because I have to have the same conversation with my wife. I always say heartbreak is easier to write about. It's easier to write about being sad. It's easier to write about your heart being broken. I said, because those are all relatable feelings. I said, people don't walk around in life typically all day with this overcoming joy of life. I'm like, it's so much easier to write about your stress and stuff. But it was funny. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing a show and I was talking about it. And it was almost like a therapy session, but through the conversation, it turns out that I'm more of a poet who then takes my lyrics and puts music to it. Do you consider yourself a songwriter, or do you consider yourself more of a lyricist and a poet that then finds the music to present your lyrics? Because to me, look, Empty Notoriety is a great song. Did you write that? I hope you wrote that.
I helped write the music to it. The lyrics were written by our old guitarist, sorry. And then when he left the band, he said we could still keep it, and I was like, cool, because I helped write some of the music. But no, that was predominantly an old one written by him.
So those lyrics kind of hit me. To me, I love rhythm, I love guitar, I love a ripping fucking solo. Don't get me wrong, but if the lyrics are garbage, which I'm going to be honest with you, it's why there's not a lot of old Blink-182 songs I say I fucking love, because I think the lyrics are just juvenile. Lyrics mean a lot to me. It's why I'm a big fan of Homecoming UK, to be real with you guys, because you're lyrically, you're phenomenal. Your music sounds good too, but the lyrics mean the most to me. So do you consider yourself a lyricist, or do you consider and the lyrics being more important than the music? I understand it needs to be a blend. I don't need the 101 on songwriting, but when you think about yourself,
I'm totally with you. Because there's some songs and they've got fantastic music, but then I listen to the lyrics, I'm like, there's just nothing behind it. I can't emote, and I kind of feel like it's a wasted song. And there's some of ours that we've written that I've gone back and like, these lyrics are shit. Like, just like musically, I'm like, I really like the music, but like these, when I wrote FN 2187, so that song's about my son. And when I wrote that first, I had the first draft. I sent it to the guys, and like, yeah, it's cool. And I was looking back, going, they're shit. So they're just bland and they're just corny, and everything in it was a generic like cliche. And so then I started listening to Hamilton more because I just love Lin-Manuel's style of writing. And then FN came from that, and I was like, I like how he did these rhymes and repeated rhymes. And then I kind of felt that the lyrics that I put to FN now, they've got that more meaning, and they relate to things more. And like DKMS, that song's great musically. I absolutely adore the music to that. But it had to have some good lyrics with it, and that's what I feel we managed to do. Really big-headed. But if I wouldn't be able to put something out if I wasn't comfortable with the lyrics. My wife's one of our songs on our first EP, 36 Hour Death Period. So I wrote that when my wife was at uni, and it was originally 3 different song lyrics. And I used to send my lyrics to her all the time. I'm like, can you just check these and make sure they aren't crap? But she'd sent that back as one whole song, because she was like, oh yeah, they work in a way. And she got them to work and they sounded really cool. So I usually send her, and I send a lot of my friends my lyrics first. And what do you reckon of these? Because I'm like, be critical, because if they're shit, I don't want to put them out. Like, I need to know, like, tell me, does this line work? Does this sound corny? So yeah, lyrics are definitely, I think it has to be lyrics and the more important part of the song than the music. Yeah.
I totally hear you. I will write a song and then we'll be in the car and I'll play it for my wife, and it's lyrically beautiful. And my writing style, my traditional writing style is, I would say, post alt rock or post grunge with
Okay.
with an operatic twist to it. Like, I like to have a dramatic operatic twist to what I do. But I'll be listening to it, I'm like, it's so great, and then I'll hear a line and I'll just be like, great fucking lyric, Ray. And my wife's like, it sounded good. I'm like, no. I'm like, it's way too fucking simple for this song to be in there right now.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'll do. Be there looking, but then I also don't want to go and like use a thesaurus and just write something that looks really cool. And then I'm like, because when we were in the studio recording BJ's, there was I'm sure it's BJ's. It was one of the songs we were recording. There was a line, and I was there going, "Does this work?" And the producer was like, "Well, if you put any other word in though, then it's not you, is it? Like, if you use a thesaurus and put something else in, that's not your songwriting. It's not truthful." I was like, "I'll keep it in then," and he said it worked. I think it was on Shattered Echoes. Yeah, it was. 'Cause- yeah, but yeah, I'm the same.
So I always say one for them, one for me. So I'll
Yeah.
write an operatic, just a beautiful, deep, like 9-minute fucking story. And then I'll write this like sarcastic alt rock, like Theory of a Dead Man type of, like, outlaw country rock kind of song.
Yeah.
And I always like put myself in like the shoes of like the biggest loser in the world and sing from their perspective. But I'll always use one or two big words in the song. My wife always says, like, why do you put, she asked me like this, it's like 3 days ago. She's like, why do you always put a word like this in these songs? I go, because the people who are going to listen to this song, I said, are simple. And I said, I always want them to know I'm smarter than them. And she looked at me and I said, I'm not kidding. I said, I want them to know I'm smarter than you. And I can use these type of words. I'm like, because if I gotta write a shitty song to make you happy, I just need you to know how fucking dumb I feel writing this right now.
When my wife helped look at my lyrics, she put the big words in, because I'd never heard of the word juxtaposed until she sent some lyrics back, and I was like, what the fuck is juxtaposed? I had to Google it. Still sang it. Like, we called empty notoriety. It took me for ages, first of all, to pronounce notoriety, and then I had to Google what the hell it meant, because originally the song was called Sex, Drugs and Sausage Rolls, and I was like, we won't get radio play if the song says sex and drugs, will we? So we renamed it.
So let's talk about that songwriting process now, because you bring that up. So now you're at the point of like, let's just enjoy this. Are you still writing for radio, or are you writing for you?
So I don't write for radio still. I write from what I'd enjoy, but I'm still conscious of. So basically, it's more, I won't. We've none of our songs have any swear words in, like, at all. Because I'm like, otherwise you have to do a radio edit, and it's just effort. So that's the kind of part where I think, or naming the song, because I know BJ's definitely wouldn't. So when we uploaded that to BBC iPlayer, BBC Introducing, I put Ben and Jerry's In Your Pajamas as the name for the track instead. Because I don't think we can do it Simple Plan did with Addicted, where they managed to say dick on MTV. That was the whole point, wasn't it? And I was like, I don't know if BBC would do BJ's. Certain radio ones I'll leave as it is, and they love saying the name because it's hilarious. BJ's in your PJs, and it's funny. But that's the only part really where I'm conscious about where it's going, is titles, because I want it to be played. And I know swearing has its place, and I just haven't found it in my songs yet where to put them. Because I used to, when I was younger, obviously I was very Blink-182. I'm still very Blink-182. Every one of my guitars is Blink-182. So I was just like, yeah, let's put a fuck here and a shit and all this. And now I'm kind of writing them going, I could, but I'm not going to, because first of all, my son's going to listen to these and he does like to repeat the words. And in fact, I even wrote the new song. It says Tom DeLonge was singing about his dick, and I've even starred out dick. I'm 38. I can say dick. But yeah, so they're the little parts. So I'm like, it's not that I write for a radio. I'd still write for me. I always write songs essentially for me. That it's my expression, isn't it? And the only person I've really got to think about anyone critical view is how do I feel about it in the end, really.
And your son.
My son, yes.
and what your son's going to repeat.
Yeah.
How do you, okay, so I'm interested in how what you feel about my theory. My theory on writing is that swearing is lazy, and I put swear words in my songs, and it's out of pure laziness. It's because I need a filler, and I just go, I'll just put fucking because it makes sense, and I don't want to think of the word to make. Because I need that end word, I need that rhyme, and I need this word to rhyme. So I'll just put fucking right there to make it fit. But my wife always says, every time I swear, she goes, you always tell me that swearing's lazy. And I'm like, yeah, this was a fucking lazy right. I said I didn't feel like trying to figure this out.
I mean, I get it. Yeah. I've just never needed to put them in because I sound like such a pretentious arsehole, don't I? Yeah, I've never needed to swear in my songs. Yeah, I've just got such a vocabulary. I can just put anything in. Yeah. I mean, it works and I think there's places where even if it is like you say a lazy one, is it lazy or is it having an impact that you need? Really, isn't it? Like they're sentence enhancers, aren't they? Really, like sometimes something isn't just shit; it's fucking shit, and you kind of need that, but you can't say it's heckin' or anything, can you? There has to be that aggression and power with a word. So I think even if you consider them as a lazy, like just filler, it's still that purpose, though, isn't it? It's the emotive need behind it.
I won't argue that with you. I think sometimes a well-placed curse word that brings something to the song, but to say I'm fucking bored because I need bored, that's just lazy. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just.
Yeah. But what else could you put there?
But there's a lot of. See, I get this from hip hop. I think that hip hop lyricists, as they call themselves, I think a lot of them are the laziest fucking people in the world. Like I really do, and because they swear so much or put in other fill words that I can't say, and they put in all these other fill words, and I totally understand that they're just putting fillers in. Like you're literally because you have the liberty to swear, because you do hip hop, because you have the liberty to use these other words or whatever, and because you can say a lot more sexist things than any other genre of music, like sexist, homophobic. For some reason, hip hop gets away with it, right? Every other genre of music gets very looked down on. But I find there's a lot of laziness in hip hop. Even Eminem, who I think is one of the greatest lyricists in the world, I think some of his music writing's very, very lazy. And there was this artist here named Georgie Porgy, worst hip hop name in the world, but his name was Georgie Porgy. He's from Toronto. But he never swore in his tracks, and he would do these 6-minute freestyles and not put one single swear word, not one N word, not one anything, and would just go. And I had a new respect for a true lyricist at that time and realized you can write music, because I'm the same as you. I'm like 16, 17 here, and everything's like, fuck you, suck my dick, fuck, like it's I barely used words. I just swore. And then once I realized you can write music and not swear and be just as impactful, it was huge to me. And I hope everybody can see me okay. I see that my Wi-Fi signal is telling me that I've got nothing. So if I'm hacking out, I apologize.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So tell me, man, what's next? What's coming up for Homecoming UK? You're working on music. Actually, sorry, I got another question to ask you, because so the track you sent me.
Yes.
Was it a joke, or were you actually trying to send me something?
Did it not come through?
No. Okay, so the player opened, and I would press it, and it would go 1 second. But then you put a laugh emoji after, so I was like, "Oh, is he pranking me?" And I'm not getting the prank right now.
No, there is. If anything, download with the 3 dots at the top instead. Download the track. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try. But I was sitting there and I was like, am I not getting this prank? And I didn't want to ask and look like an idiot. So I was like, I'll ask him in person when I see him.
Oh, because I was saying it's completely unmixed. It's completely everything.
It's completely unmixed with a laugh emoji. Then I went and pressed play and nothing played. And I was like, is the joke that there's nothing?
No, there is. So we recorded that on the 28th, and we should be getting the mixes back, I think, in the next week or so. And that's one I wrote about my wife when she was at uni.
Okay.
And then it's kind of just sat doing nothing for a while, and then I brought it to the guys. I was like, look, I wrote this. It's very Angels and Airwaves, because that's what I was very much anything Tom DeLonge, really. You probably just listen to all home from now and go, Oh shit, yeah, that's Blink. Oh yeah, that's that song. Um, so that's what that track is. And we've got like synth at the beginning. That's it's just I'm really excited for that one. I've been desperate to get that recorded for years, and we had a demo that I did before with the old guitarist. That's just been sitting on his SoundCloud for forever, and it's changed. Obviously, now the song is a billion times better because, well, the musicians involved in it as well, and the drums on it. Well, they're not a MIDI drum kit; it's Matty. But yeah, that's our new one. We're going to do a video for that as well, so we can get it on BSB. And I just can't wait. I'm so excited for that one.
Okay, well, I'm going to try again, and if it doesn't work, I will message you and say, "Can you resend it to me?" Because now I want to hear it. Now that I know it's not a joke, I want to hear it. I want to. I love raw stuff. I love stuff before it's cut and mixed. And raw is the best way to listen to music because that's when you hear the true musician. And I'm happy to if you're a Blink guy, and I got no beef against Blink. I've got all their albums. I love Blink, but I'm happy that you're a Tom DeLonge guy. Because he, to me, is the musician of the band, and I mean, look, Travis is one of the greatest drummers of all time. I don't care what anybody says, but lyrically, what he writes is much deeper. Because it's funny, you talk about being Blink 182, and I hear way more Simple Plan when I listen to you guys play, because of the depth of the lyrics. Because Pierre wrote so deep.
Yeah, wrote some awesome lyrics.
Yeah, and I find your lyrics to hit very similar. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I've heard way more Simple Plan, but now that you say Tom DeLonge, it makes sense because he's a pretty deep writer too, especially when he got into his solo stuff and his projects outside of Blink. Yeah,
absolutely. So I met my wife at Angels and Airwaves. So Angels and Airwaves are an insanely special band to me, and that's where I think one of my favorite albums he's ever done was I Empire.
Yes,
I feel that is where his lyrics weren't overly pretentious. I feel he got a little bit more pretentious as he went on. He tried to be like Bono, and I can't stand Bono. So Bono Tom DeLonge was just god awful. But I think I Empire had this really good balance of the music didn't seem to. It still seemed a bit more guitar-y because back when that came out, I was all like, oh, if it hasn't got Tom DeLonge playing a guitar, I ain't listening. And I feel that I Empire kind of filled this really nice void and did everything that I expected and wanted from a Tom DeLonge thing. And the lyrics in it, I just absolutely love. They're saying that I love the lyrics on Love Part 1 as well. I think his lyrics are a massive influence on how I write. Maybe I should stop aspiring to be Tom DeLonge, though. I only had the one arm tattooed because of Tom DeLonge. Then I got the stretchers because of Tom DeLonge. And then obviously I got the Tom DeLonge guitars because of Tom DeLonge. And then I was like, oh, fine, I have to get the other arm tattooed. I can't be Tom DeLonge anymore. I'm never going to do it. Yeah.
I have the faux hawk because of Pierre, just so you know. So it's all good. I totally get it.
Sorry, dude.
I was a Simple Plan guy growing up. Canadian, Montreal, right? That was my group.
I don't feel that they had enough credit for No Pads, No Balls. No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls when it first came out. I love that album. One thing annoys me, I don't think there was enough bass. I feel it should have been a lot more bassy as a final mix. That's just my critic part. But I love how they've taken on the fact that all their fans are, in their 40s now, and all the social media they're doing.
But 20 years later, they suddenly had a resurgence. My kids, so I was young when I had my first. So my kid's 19, my oldest, and my youngest is 14. And they both listen to Simple Plan. Like, and it was like, some of that could be my influence. But like, dude, my daughter's favorite band, my 14-year-old's favorite band is Weezer. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah, like the 90s and 2000s shit is amongst, like, like when we were younger, we listened to like Pink Floyd and Zeppelin, and you know what I mean? It was like all about the classics. Maybe not you guys. All right, in Canada, we
other people did.
Okay,
just not me.
Okay, maybe I can say this to you then. I'm gonna drop a bomb on the podcast. I've actually kept away from this forever because it's a very, very hot take. Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin are the two most boring bands to listen to in the world.
Can I add another one that's very controversial that people hate me saying?
Yes.
I hate Queen.
I have a lot of respect for Freddie Mercury, but I'm kind of the same. He grows tired on me. He's on my Mount Rushmore of what he was able to do with music and bringing the operatic stuff in. Again, when I talk about operatic, I'm not Freddie Mercury operatic, but I'm with you. They're a very tiresome band to listen to.
There's lots that people get annoyed when I say I'm like, I don't really like Metallica, I don't like Guns N' Roses, and then you get that whole thing like people get very aggressively emotionally attached to it. I mean, to be fair, I would if someone said to what I like, but they're like, do you not respect what they've done? I'm like, I don't respect someone for being a musician, do I? I mean, they wrote music and they did very well for it. I'm like, I just don't like that style of music. I feel I don't like overdone guitars and guitar solos. Mainly because I can't play lead guitar parts, so I hate people that can because it makes me jealous. I can only do rhythm.
Well, as a punk guy, you might hate this or appreciate. As a British punk guy, you might hate this or appreciate this. So, episode number 1 of When the Music Mattered, we did the origins of punk rock. And we talked about The Clash and Joe Strummer and London Calling's my favorite album of all time. And I think Joe Strummer was a fucking genius. We talked about the Ramones here in North America, who were the North American fucking, pioneers of punk rock. Yeah. And then we finished with the Sex Pistols, because you can't talk about punk rock without acknowledging the Sex Pistols. The band... I thought our podcast was going to be over after episode 1, because I got a lot of message from a lot of old punks, a lot of old British punks. But I said, I just cannot look at a band where the fucking bassist didn't know how to play the bass and call them the greatest fucking, inspiration of all time. I'm like, all they were was a money-hungry promoter who caused chaos, who threw Johnny Rotten basically out of the band so that Sid Vicious could go solo, so he could get strung out on fucking heroin and cause fights and riots. I'm like, they were legitimately, and this is where I got killed. I was like, they were legitimately the first commercially produced boy band in the world.
They were, weren't they? And there were so many better bands at the time. Buzzcocks, Only Ones. I hate them, but my wife likes them. The Undertones,
the Undertones are amazing.
They just bore me. It's mainly because on My Perfect Cousin, I just hate that he just did the drums. I was just like, could have done so much more, and that just put me off them forever. I was just like, no, not listening to them. The trash. But my wife's got a way better music taste than me, so she'd say anyway, because she was brought up with decent music. I was brought up with not decent music. Her dad said my music taste went backwards when I went from Nirvana to Blink.
Look, I got a lot of respect for Blink-182, and they got a lot of good tracks. I especially like, Take Your Pants Off and Jacket, to me, was really, yeah, and that was their sort of growing up album. That was sort of their mature album. And it's weird, because I think it came out the same year as the Marshall Mathers show, when Eminem put out, or the Eminem show. Yeah, the Eminem show. It all came out kind of at the same time. It was like, you almost saw all these artists kind of grow up overnight. It was like, this album was super immature, fucking What's My Age Again, and Damn It, and Dude Ranch was out, and then all of a sudden fucking Take Your Pants Off and Jack. And yeah, they have the where he sings about his dad and his fucking dog and the Mexican pirate, and they still had the typical Blink-182 stuff. But when you got into like
Stay Together for the Kids,
Stay Together for the Kids, I mean, God, that when he would just start belting that out, man, that hits you right in the chest.
Straight hairs on end. Yeah, as soon as he did it. That was the first song I learned on guitar.
Really?
Yeah, I got a guitar and I wanted to learn that. I couldn't play it, so I said the guitar was broken. And then eventually I did learn it, but so slow, like kind of dun dun dun. Obviously now I can play it because I've been playing for 20-something years. But it's what when I tell people who learn the guitar, I'm like, don't start with Stay Together for the Kids. Start with Green Day. It's easier.
Yeah, well, learn Smoke on the Water. At least learn the riff. That's supposed to be your starting. That's supposed to be the starting gap here. Okay, dude, we have quickly run out of time. I hope you don't feel like your time was wasted, but I want to give you as much time as you want right now to talk about upcoming projects, anything you guys got going on, shows, songs, all that type of albums. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So we've got another show coming up on the 23rd of August in Nottingham, which is 99 Fest. We've then got a batch of shows coming up through September, through to the end of the year. We're playing with some awesome other UK bands, Save Our Ships, Chasing the Fall, obviously, Season 2, loads of cool bands, and we've got our new song coming out, and then we're going back into the studio again in January to record 2 more songs, and we've got a Christmas song coming out too. There we go.
You have a Christmas song coming out?
Yeah, man.
Is it your first, or have you written other Christmas songs?
We did a cover of a Christmas song, and this is a Christmas song that I'd written, and we've now recorded in Homecoming. So if you'd like a little preview, I can send you that one too.
That would be amazing. Like, dude, that's the best part of this whole job is people just send me their shit. It's awesome. And when it comes out, I could be like, I heard that months ago. This is old news now.
I'll send you them both in a bit then.
Michael, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. And I know it's late for you, but I would love to have you back one day to rap a little bit more about music. And maybe I'll come with a plan the next time. I like to we used to come in with a plan, and I just found it when I listened back, it was just I just like to come in and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was always trying to get to the next question. So fuck it. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot. Guys, go listen to it. I talked about this sometime during this show. I talked about this with Chasing the Fall. I'm saying it again, and I will do a separate social media bit on this as well. Go listen to Homecoming UK. Why they don't have a record label at this point or more notoriety irks me to death. And I hope that one day you guys find one of these stadiums in Canada so I can
cool.
I can come out and watch you guys. I'd love that. But if I'm ever in the UK, which let's face it, it's not going to happen. But if I am, I will try to. Actually, I don't know. I might if we get annexed, I might have to find somewhere to stay. So
yeah, good point.
I might be a Brit. I'm kind of like, fuck, man. Your queen and your king are on my money. I should be able to come over. And
I think that's fair. I think that's a perfectly valid argument. I sponsor you.
If you're good enough for my dollar, I'm good enough to live there.
Exactly.
Anyways,
I think that's fair.
You can follow me on Instagram at Ray Rout. You can follow all of the When the Music Matter stuff at When the Music Matter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Guys, the socials are what the socials are. We're new, we're niche, things are figuring out. But the podcast is banging. The numbers are huge, so we appreciate everybody who's here on the low vocal or the audio side. I guess I have just learned how to. I guess my marketing job has taught me how to do descriptions and hashtags and algorithms. That's the word I was looking for. As I went on a big tirade before. I'm smarter than people, but no, appreciate y'all. And did you drop the socials? I can't remember now. Did you do it? You should drop them again.
All our socials are Homecoming UK on every platform. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all on there. Videos and shit and absolutely weird stuff that I'm doing on TikTok because I'm uncomfortable doing a lot of other things.
I'll tell you the one thing I love about their stuff on the socials. Not that I don't love socials. I'm going to be real with you. I don't love anybody's socials. Like I don't love socials. But there's things I like when people do things is you always know, like if you look at When the Music Matters, you know that I run the socials because it's me with Kris sprinkled in. You see other bands and you just see like the one person talking the whole time with some sprinkles. You guys are pretty even. Like you're pretty good at, I don't know who runs your socials, but you guys are good at, it's you. I figured it was you because you and I were DMing, but I was going to let you be mysterious. You ruined it.
Who is it? I do force them all I message them all. I'm just like, can you send me some content? Come on, get on it. Otherwise, it's just me. And they do. And then I get to sit and make silly videos.
See, I send the same messages and get, yeah. And then 2 hours later, I'm recording something because we have nothing going up. But I found new software now that just does it all for me. So it's beautiful. Okay, that's it, Michael. I keep stretching this because I'm enjoying this too much, and I know that my wife is standing with the dog's leash in her hand waiting for me. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Make sure you tune in next week. We're here we're now going to be live every Monday on YouTube. We had some people trickle in and out. We did no promotion that we're now going live. We just did it because I learned today that we could. So just not that I didn't know you can't go live on YouTube, but we hadn't had permission to do it, and suddenly we had it today. I guess we hit our follower threshold or whatever. So
Awesome.
we will be live every month, live-ish. Sometimes we do double guests and you're watching live, but it was really recorded last week. This is live. But we'll be in a live stream every Monday. And then, of course, you get the podcast every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't be looking at it at 7 a.m. your time because it won't be there.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you're eating lunch, you can listen to the podcast. It'll be on there. Until
Awesome.
next time, guys, thank you for tuning in. Michael, thank you. Homecoming UK. And good night and goodbye.
Take care, dude. Bye.
When life seems down and everything tattered, take a trip with us back to when the music mattered. 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 Music mattered.